Hey, good evening. Thank you for joining me for tonight's scroll here at United Faith Christian Center. Hey, listen, have you ever heard these words? Me and God have an understanding. Usually a person says this when you are confronting them with the things they do that are not good for their life, especially him or her who claims to know Christ. It baffles me when I hear these words because what understanding do they really think they have with God? Let's look tonight at 1 Samuel chapter 15. Samuel, we can see the chapter or verse starts out. Samuel tells Saul that the Lord has sent him to anoint him as king over his people. God tells Saul that he's going to punish Amalek for what they have done to Israel. Then God tells Saul to go and destroy Amalek. Both man and woman, the child and the infant, the ox, the sheep, and the camel, as well as the donkey. Now, let's jump down to verse 7. It says, so Saul defeated the Amalekites. He captures Agag the king, but he keeps him alive, it says, verse 8. Verse 9 says, but Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep, the oxen, the fatlings, the lamb, and all that was good, and were not willing to destroy them utterly, but everything despised and worthless that they utterly destroyed. In other words, he kept everything that was good and destroyed everything that was despised or actually worthless. Now God speaks to Samuel and tells him how he regrets making Saul king because Saul has turned his back from following him and obeying him. Verse 12 says, Samuel rose early in the morning to meet Saul. And it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set up a monument for himself, then turned and proceeded on down to Gilgal. Verse 13 says, Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said to him, Blessed are you of the Lord. I have carried out the command of the Lord. Let's jump to verse 17. You see, because up until this point, Saul has actually thought that he has done what God says. So in verse 17, Samuel says, Is it not true? Though you were little in your own eyes, you were made the head of the tribes of Israel, and the Lord anointed you king over Israel. Look at this. So Samuel, who was telling Saul that, listen, you are what you are and who you are because of the Lord. God wanted Saul to actually take on the ultimate responsibility to obey his voice. Now let's look at verse 20. It says, Then Saul said to Samuel, I did obey the voice of the Lord, and went on the mission on which the Lord sent me, and have brought back Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. So we see Saul tell Samuel that he did obey the voice of the Lord. But we know that the sound of the sheep showed that he had not utterly obeyed God. And we can find that in verse 15. If we go back, it says, Saul said, here, let's see. Saul said, they have brought from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and the oxen to sacrifice to the Lord your God, but the rest we have utterly destroyed. So right before that, in verse 14, you see Samuel is asking Saul if he obeyed him, then what is the bleating of the sheep in his ears? In other words, what is that sound that he heard? The thing about this is that Saul actually believed that he was right in the sight of God, because he intended to sacrifice the best sheep and the oxen to God. So he left the best and he was going to sacrifice it to God. Let's look at verse 22 of 1 Samuel chapter 15. It says, Samuel said, has the Lord as much delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice. So then tell me, what understanding did Saul have with God? Seems to me that God wanted Saul's obedience. So the next time you hear someone say, me and God have an understanding, just continue to be sure and know that the eyes of their understanding must be open. So pray for them. They are insane, doing the same thing, expecting different results. The understanding is that they want to do what they want to do, and instead of following what God actually has said. Obey God. Continue to obey God. He is more pleased in this than your offering of sacrifices. May God continue to bless you. May you enjoy your evening, and may you enjoy the rest of your week. Until next time, God bless.